Hello, Crewville. Neil Sika, Jordan Angeli, getting you ready for the 2021 MLS season. It is our schedule preview, just about a month out from the start of the 2021 MLS regular season. Jordan, great to see you. It has also been way too long while we've been waiting for this schedule to come out, but we're going to go through it in parts, and the Champions League is also on the horizon, so there's a lot to like about what's on the docket for the black and gold coming up here as they get ready to move into a brand new downtown stadium, which has everyone so excited.
Yeah, good to see you too, Neil. Exciting to be chatting about the schedule. It's here finally, and I think everybody, along with us, have been waiting to see what it's going to look like, who the Crew are going to be facing, and really when that opening match is at the new Crew Stadium downtown.
Right. We can get, I guess, right into the brass tacks of when that will be, because we knew that the home opener was going to be on Sunday, April 18th on FS1 against Philadelphia at 5:30. One of four matches that really highlight the last games at historic Crew Stadium. The others coming up will be DC United. That's on Saturday, May 8th. And then you have back-to-backs May 29th against Toronto FC, which hasn't announced where their home base will be for the time being. Canadian teams are still playing within the confines of the United States because of the border situation. But the final game at historic Crew Stadium is going to be Saturday, June 19th against Chicago, longtime rival, an up-and-coming team that made a little bit of noise last year, even though they didn't make the postseason. And it's, I think, pretty apropos that the Crew get to play some traditional opponents, Toronto being part of the Trillium Cup match going back to 2007 to close out their old historic digs.
That's a good point, Neil. And I think one of the things that I really think about with those teams and sending historic Crew Stadium off is in the 26th year of Major League Soccer, there's a lot of history between all of these teams. But that first game, the home opener against Philadelphia, I'm excited to watch this match between the defending Supporter Shield winners in Philadelphia and the defending MLS Cup champs. So that one, to kick it off, you can't ask for a better game than that.
Yeah, I venture to guess that Philadelphia will figure it out. They lost some pretty big pieces with Aronson and Mark McKenzie in the offseason. It's kind of been erased and replaced with their academy, so we'll see the up-and-comers. They're still going to be solid. But by and large, when you think about roster improvements across the East, I think the Crew still took a step forward while everyone maybe made some marginal improvements. Atlanta getting Joseph Martinez back is going to help them in a big way. But for Columbus, Jordan, you've talked a lot to some of the offseason acquisitions, and Bradley Wright Phillips and Kevin Molino. They kind of highlight some of these supporting players are going to come in with such a congested schedule, which we'll get to in a minute. But you can't not be impressed with what the Crew did personnel-wise to bolster and even maybe take it a step further after the MLS Cup championship.
I did get to talk to those players, and I also got to talk to Caleb Porter, and he was talking about how this squad, they were always going to be building in this offseason, and it wasn't because they won a championship, or if they didn't win a championship, they would still have tried to make these types of moves because they believe that there's so much still on the horizon. And now you add in such big championships like playing in CONCACAF Champions League and playing in the Campeones Cup later on in the summer. There are things now that adding depth in players like Bradley Wright Phillips, one of the best goal scorers that Major League Soccer has ever seen. And then Kevin Molino, a player last year that everybody had their eyes on as he was just lighting up the league. But as I'm looking down the rest of those players, Neil, it's Marlon Hairston, who could be a good option at right back. For Harrison Awful, if he needs a little bit of time off with this congested schedule. You have Perry Kitchen, who can fill in MLS vet, Evan Bush. So there's a lot of depth as you talk to veterans, but then you also get Isaiah Parente, a newcomer, a homegrown player who can come in and add that youthfulness, which we saw last year in Aiden Morris and Sebastian Berhalter, really bringing a spark to this squad. So it's a good mix of returning players and new players. So it gives it a fresh look, but also you have a core of the team who is still there from last year.
Yeah, it's great to see keeping that core intact while building upon it. And look, if you look at recent histories of MLS teams that have made runs in the Champions League, some have burned out, whether it be injuries or just schedule congestion through the course of the regular season, and maybe not lived up to the standings in league play. I think finding the balance, the Crew have always kind of set the priority at winning MLS Cup. Whether you want to argue they did it a year ahead of schedule last year, it's up to you, but they're going to be in the hunt to do that again. And I think now, even in the talk of the offseason, Tim Bezbatchenko used the word super club. And I think that they could make a very deep run in the Champions League. That starts with Esteli from Nicaragua on the 8th of April. They're in Nicaragua. And then tickets are now available at historic Crew Stadium against Esteli on the 15th. What do you make of this first matchup, which the Crew are going to be favored, and perhaps their road into making a deep run in this international competition, which has been a decade in the making? The last time the Crew played in it, a quarterfinal loss to Real Salt Lake in 2011.
I think it'll be a good challenge. It's always a challenge when you have to go to a foreign country and play in a different environment with different fans and get to experience that. So I think that first challenge of having to go on the road is going to really bring this squad together even more when you're talking about where they're going to be at in the season. It's right before MLS season kicks off. And then coming home and having a game under their belt, it's going to be a quality match because these are the best of the best. This is the teams that you want to see compete against each other. And I think the Crew have a great opportunity to get a victory in this first round and continue their hopes in Champions League. And Pedro Santos is a player who we talked to earlier in the offseason, and he said, we as a club, we want to win this CONCACAF Champions League.
Yeah, let's hear that.
Yeah, I think for me personally, it's a very important competition. So it's a prestigious competition, and we can achieve a lot of things. This competition given us the opportunity to play a World Cup from clubs, and I think the players have to that mentality. Win this competition, bring us a lot of things, and for the club also. And for me, it's a pleasure to have the opportunity to play that competition, and I will do everything to be the first team winning, the first MLS team winning this competition, and put Columbus on a history. So we have that mentality to win the competition, because for me it's a biggest competition.
So that's Pedro Santos, unfortunately not able to participate in MLS Cup along with Darlington Nagbe, but they'll be back and ready to lead a charge in that first half of the season. So we've spoken to the fact that they're going to play in the Champions League. This first portion of the schedule, 4 final home games at historic Crew Stadium. It's also important to keep in mind they only have 1 MLS game in the month of April. And a lot of that is due to built into the Champions League schedule and maybe where they go from beyond the Esteli competition. May is crowded with 6 games. Yeah. There's a stretch here throughout the schedule, as we'll get into it later on, but in the summer and then in September, I think it's July, 6 games in a 3-week stretch. This is where the roster building, the personnel additions we were just speaking to, are going to play such a vital role. You're going to have to rotate them. And let's not forget Alexandru Matan, who's coming in as a young money player, as the new MLS initiative deems it. He's with the Romanian U21s. They're currently playing in Slovenia and Hungary for the U21 Euros. A lot of pep in this kid's step, as he can step in as a natural backup to Lucas Delarayan at the 10, but can also play the wing and play for a starting competition as you go along. So that just adds to what you want to do with that front half control when you're playing these type of competitions, and then having to go from a Wednesday game to a Saturday game in league play.
Absolutely. You mentioned those runs of 6 games in just 3 weeks. This is something that I think if you would have told MLS teams last year, this is what you were doing, it would have been a really difficult task for them to try to wrap their brains around. But with last year and the adaptation of every squad, I think the Columbus Crew handled those really tough runs of games really well. And the way, not always getting a victory, Neil. We had some difficult moments in the season where the Crew weren't winning all the games that they wanted to win or thought they could win. And I think what they learned is you can't get too high or too low. So those big runs of games, you're going to see changes in the lineup, in the squad. And that's the thing that Caleb Porter talked about in the offseason is you're building a squad to know that 1 and 2 on the depth chart could play any minute of any game. And I think when you look down this Crew roster this year, you really truly see that.
As the first 10 games kind of come into play, I think everyone now has to highlight what everyone's been waiting for and what we've been talking about over the last really 2 years since the team knew it was going to be embedded in Columbus after the purchase by the Haslam ownership group and the Edwards ownership group. And that's the opening of the brand new downtown stadium, which comes on Saturday, July 3rd, 4th of July weekend. Holidays, fireworks, fun, good weather in Columbus. 5 o'clock, the New England Revolution, who opened historic Crew Stadium back in 1999, Eastern Conference Final rematch. They feel they've improved. It's a fitting fixture to start this thing. And oh, by the way, the week before, the Crew played just one of their 2 Western Conference games, and that's against Austin FC on the road. We'll touch on that in a second. But for New England to open the new stadium 5 o'clock on a holiday weekend, it's tailor-made for, I think, what they're hoping to accomplish, getting this thing going in the summer, perhaps a bigger crowd at stake too, as things continue to improve in Ohio and all throughout the country with the virus. This is now what we've been waiting for, and the countdown is on, Jordan.
It's hard not to smile when you're talking about it, huh? July 3rd, big smile on everybody's faces in anticipation of what that's going to look like. And I like that you bring in those facts, Neil, that New England Revolution opened historic Crew Stadium. Now they got to compete here at New Crew Stadium against the Columbus Crew. And this is a big moment for the fans. It's a big moment for the city. It's going to be a big moment for these players because you've seen a lot of this stadium and gotten to bring everybody alongside these town halls. And it is going to be phenomenal. And I just can't wait. As a player, the atmosphere that is going to be created because of the way the stadium sits and the second tier almost sits on top of the pitch, it is going to feel so include like it's going to feel like the fans are on top of you. And I think that this environment, the environment that it's going to create is going to be one that players are going to enjoy playing at, especially if you're a Crew fan. What are you looking forward to? What's your favorite part of what you've seen so far?
Well, I've liked our view from the broadcast booth.
Yeah.
Where I've gotten close.
I haven't been up there yet, so I'm taking your word for it.
Me and Brett made our way up there, but the black rooftop, I think just the dark, intimate atmosphere that will hover over, the sound will be trapped in, as we were just referring to, but that vibe, nothing against the other stadiums, and this was talked about on several virtual town halls, but I think there's just an intimidation factor when that place is going to be packed at night and you have the camouflage of the structure blending into not only the city landscape, but the sky itself. So I think that's just going to create an atmosphere that is right up there, maybe the best in Major League Soccer when it's all said and done. But, for me, Jordan, to see the club's always been on pretty good ground when it comes to finding good talent and putting a good product on the field. And their rise in the last couple of years has clearly been meteoric. But for the city now, they need to take, and I think they will take, the next meteoric step. It's been 20 years since you've had a notable building in downtown Columbus, Nationwide Arena. And with respect to Huntington Park, which is at the AAA level and is a phenomenal ballpark, this is the wave of the future with the Soccer Specific Stadium in the core. And I think now you're just adding other elements from your civic pride, and you're getting new people involved that might not have done that before. And that's the cool thing for me. It's going to resonate beyond what we've seen here in the last 2 decades. So
Yeah.
Super thrilled to see it. 13 of the 17 home games are at new Crew Stadium, which is awaiting a name, which will come in the next several weeks, I'm sure. But they're also going to have their fair share of home games down the stretch for their last 6. I mentioned such a crowded September with 6 games in 3 weeks. They're also going to have the opportunity to play the Campeones Cup against the Mexican champion, thrown into that grinder of a schedule coming towards the end of September. That's on September 27th, and that'll be played at the new stadium. So another new international competition that's going to be in the spotlight in the Crew's brand new home.
That'll be fun to watch and get to witness the best team in Liga MX to play at Crew Stadium. I'm just excited for the fans to have an opportunity to see that, not only at that point in the season and where the team is going to be at, but at this new venue that the Crew are going to have. It's interesting when you look through the schedule, Neil, and you get towards kind of these games that we're talking about. The Crew are only playing 2 games against Western Conference opponents, which is really interesting. One of those you mentioned, Austin. The other one,
the
Seattle.
fans are going to have fun with that one.
And Seattle. So if you're going to pick 2 teams to play against in the West, those probably are the 2 you want to pick, right?
Queso Ra. Austin FC plays at Q2 Stadium. Yeah, that their game against the Crew will be at home the week leading into the new stadium buildup. So that's going to be a media heavy 2 weeks, I'm sure, for Caleb Porter and the team, and they'll deal with it as it comes along. And then Seattle, yeah, you mentioned the rematch of MLS Cup on August 21st. And of course, we can't forget about Hell is Real either. Cincinnati will be twice, and the game in Columbus will take place going back to back with Seattle on Friday, August 27th. They're in a brand new stadium, and that looks really nice too. So this is a significant point for, I think, the rivalry and both clubs, as Cincinnati is just trying to become, I think, competent on the field and made some interesting offseason signings, including Brenner, that might help them along the way. But for the Crew, it's staying in that big brother role. And what a better way to do it with both teams getting brand new stadiums this year to build that rivalry, continue to push the threshold of what it can be.
Oh, and that rivalry is always going to be there. And it advanced, I would say, last
Fire
year
emoji.
With the wins that the Crew had, but also that loss that they suffered down at Cincinnati. That's going to stick with them too. And I'm sure that's something that when you're talking about this rivalry, those are the types of games you want. You want this to have a little back and forth. And so Hell is Real is going to be real right in the middle of the summer for that first one. And I'm sure both teams are looking forward to introducing the other ones to their new stadium.
Southeast teams, a little lighter on the schedule. Miami twice. The Crew did not play Miami last year. That's the only team they didn't see from the Eastern Conference, and they will not meet them till September 11th. There's a home and away there, along with Nashville, team they met in the semifinals. Got Atlanta. I mentioned how much they feel they've improved or gotten back to what they thought they should have been last year with Joseph Martinez, and then some other additions, a new coach there. Orlando twice showed that they're ready to maybe take the next step. So just a lot of great action up and down the schedule, and the ability to see the bulk of it in the back half of the year at the brand new stadium should make it very enticing for fans to come out and see some great soccer against some great competition, which is really what it boils down to. You want to have some fun, and you want to do it in a home like the Crew will have coming up here very soon.
Neil, we always have fun. You know that.
We do have fun.
We always have fun. And I'm looking at my watch. How much more time do we have to wait until the season kicks off? We're getting closer. And it's fun to look over this newly released schedule, talk about some of the key moments for both of us. But I'm ready for that home opener, that April 18th game, to be back with the fans in historic Crew Stadium is going to feel really good.
Of course, your inaugural stadium kit is available at columbuscrewsc.com and at the Crew shop. You can download your schedule right from the website. There's a lot of cool things you can do to get ready for Cruisemas and Cruisemas Eve and all the things that will come with the 2021 season and a second star defending the championship. Meanwhile, we're going to have a little bit of ourselves both in Florida, so enjoying the sunshine, getting ready for the day, counting down the days, not only the season opener of 2021, but the brand new stadium opening, which will be Saturday, July 3rd at 5 o'clock against New England. So we thank you for watching. Jordan, I will see you soon when we will be having some fun for the 2021 Crew season.
See you soon, Neil.
Thanks for watching, everyone.